Okay, I want to talk to you about right after Easter Sunday. Jesus had rose from the dead, and that presumably that afternoon, we can pick it up in Luke chapter 4. A couple of the disciples are walking on their way to Emmaus. It's kind of a cool thing. I want you to see that I really do think Jesus enjoys us. And so he went and walked with them, which is just kind of funny to me that he just went for a walk with them. He'd risen from the dead, and now he's going on a walk. So he's walking, and he comes upon these guys. We don't know who these guys are. He walks with them and talks with them, and they're saying, "Oh man, this Jesus, he died, and now they're saying he rose from the dead." And they say, "Well, what's going on? I don't know what's happening." And he's playing dumb. And so they say, "What? Are you only a visitor here?" And then they begin to tell him what happened. Can you imagine that? It's just kind of funny to me. But then he says, "Don't you realize what has to happen?" Then he begins to talk to them and basically gives them an entire Old Testament survey course from Genesis to today on how the Christ had to suffer and to die and to raise and went on all this stuff. They still don't know who he is. And then they said they got to where they were going, and he says, "Okay, hey, that was a great walk. I'm going to keep going." They're like, no, stay here. And so they convinced him to stay. They go and they have supper. He breaks bread, gives thanks, and their eyes are open, and they saw him. They said, "Oh," and then he disappears. That you can read it in Luke 22. He disappears before their eyes. But they said, "Oh, how did we not recognize him?" God opened their eyes, that's why. But they said, "Our hearts were burning when he was teaching." And they saw it, and they saw that he was there. And they said, "Oh, we were with him the whole time, and we didn't recognize it." So it's this cool miracle, and it's the first appearance that any of them had with them. Go and read the chapter yourself. There's so much to the story that's great to ponder. But I was thinking as I was looking at this, they didn't recognize him. They were walking with greatness. They were walking with the Son of God, and they didn't recognize it. Now, of course, we work with athletes, and I was thinking about this even in athletes. How often in a young athlete, we just kind of discard them, or they're just one of many and things like that, and just kind of maybe push them to a side or get out of my way. I got to do this. What if we're coaching greatness? What if that young person you're with is something more than you see? What if they are called by God to do something amazing, maybe athletically, but in this life, whatever it would be? Now, here's the thing I want us to see. I'm not comparing the kid on the soccer team to Jesus, and I understand this was a weird day and things like that on the day Christ rose. But the principle is there, that until God opened their eyes, they didn't recognize Jesus. So what if every day when we got up and went out and walked with people, what if we said, "God, open my eyes. Open my eyes to see something in that person that I wouldn't see in the natural. Give me spiritual eyes to see the potential, the greatness within them, the call of God in them." And if you're a coach, man, ask God to open your eyes to see something in that 10-year-old that nobody else is seeing, to see something in that 15-year-old that nobody else is seeing, that you would see something because God is giving you eyes to see beyond the natural. So I realize that's very different than that account on that first Sunday during the day. But the principle is there, that our eyes sometimes are veiled, and we need God to open them to see something great.